Hello everyone, this is Jason Merkle with Horizon Hobby, and we're here today with something very special. This is the E-flite UMX Night Vapor. Some of you guys watching this might recognize this model. It is an updated and upgraded version of the old Park Zone Night Vapor. We sold that airplane for many, many years because there was just nothing like it. So a lot of guys bought that to fly indoors or also to fly outdoors in calm conditions. It had lights on it, so you could fly it inside in the dark, you could fly it outside in the dark. It was a very versatile, relatively simple airplane that a lot of people enjoyed for many, many years. So what we've done in the time since we recently discontinued it was to upgrade to a new set of electronics. So we've got a new control unit in here, still has a Spectrum receiver built in, still has 2 servos built in, but we've upgraded to the new Spectrum chipset that we have, which is cool because it actually gives us telemetry at the transmitter. So I will have the flight battery voltage on my transmitter screen, and I can set up low voltage alerts so that way I know at my transmitter when the battery voltage is getting low before I hit the LVC in the air. That's a nice feature. We do also have AS3X and Safe Select. The original version did not have those. And I've seen a couple of comments. Guys have said, why did you put AS3X and Safe Select in such a simple, slow, easy to fly airplane? It was already a very smooth flying airplane, but I got to tell you what, guys, I've flown all the Vapors. This one is by far the smoothest, most locked in, not only indoors where you don't think there's a lot of wind or air currents or things like that, but you never know. You know, AC units, heaters, they're putting air out into the area that you're flying in, and it can bounce around a little bit. And not only that, just yanking and banking and doing things in the air. Everything is much smoother now with the combination of AS3X, but then also on top of that, we upgraded the airframe. We added some struts to the wings here to help stiffen the wing. It just feels a lot more solid overall. It's really hard to describe, but it's exactly what AS3X is intended to give us, which is that feeling of a more precise, more locked-in airplane. Almost feels like you're flying a much bigger airplane, outside. So a really, really great experience. Safe Select, it's optional use. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. But if you do turn it on, it does have the bank angle limits, the pitch angle limits, and the self-leveling when you let go of the stick. And then our engineers took the time to increase the travel available to you so you can still make pretty darn tight turns even with Safe Select turned on. You still have a pretty high angle of attack that you can achieve with up elevator and even down elevator. So they set it up so even as a low time pilot, you could fly this in Safe Select indoors in some spaces. So real quick, I'll say this. Not everyone is going to be able to fly this indoors in every space. We're in a relatively large space today. We're going to show you guys a little bit of that. We're going to fly down a hallway and fly into a smaller space. I would say that if you're a low-time pilot, you probably don't want to fly indoors in anything smaller than, say, a basketball gym, which is about the space that we're flying in now. When you get good enough, you get enough experience, especially if you don't need to rely on Safe Select, you can then potentially fly in a smaller space, like a 2-car garage is a good space to fly in. If you have a large enough living room, maybe with a high ceiling, a vaulted ceiling or something like that, you can potentially fly it inside of your house. But for a lot of guys, especially if you're not a very experienced pilot, you're going to want to first fly the airplane outside, preferably in calm conditions. You want to look for maybe a nice early morning or later in the evening. And what's nice is, of course, you have the lights, which are going to help with the orientation. But the nice thing is once you get used to it, you'll find that you can fly it in a relatively small space. But that said, it is not intended for beginners. You should not learn to fly on this airplane. We do sell a ready-to-fly version, which is traditionally common with a trainer aircraft. But we don't sell a ready-to-fly version of this so that way a beginner has everything they need. We just sell it so it's one box, very convenient purchase. Comes with a smaller controller that fits back in the box with the airplane. It's really intended more for an experienced pilot looking for that kind of convenient one-box purchase. I'm flying the Bind and Fly Basic version here today. I've got it bound up to my DX8E transmitter. You really only need a 5-channel transmitter. It is a 3-channel airplane, so we've got rudder, we've got elevator, and we have throttle control, of course, but you do need one additional channel to turn Safe Select on and off, and that's typically assigned out of the box to the gear channel. So you do need a 5-channel transmitter to take advantage of Safe Select. If you didn't have that, it would be stuck with Safe On all the time, but in the world today, it's very rare for anybody to have less than a 5-channel transmitter. Everything that we've sold in the last few years, DX6E, 80, the DX689, the new NX6 and then of course the IX12 and IX20 all work. Some of the older transmitters we sell in the Spectrum line, or we sold in the Spectrum lineup, will also work. But what's nice is I didn't do anything. I basically just bound the airplane and everything just worked perfectly. It was already pre-programmed. Again, Safe Select is assigned to the gear channel by default, and so that's on a 2-position switch. You can move that to a different switch if you prefer. I just went ahead and left it on there. I did also set up the telemetry. So I've got 2 alerts set up. One alert is if I plug a battery in that's below 4 volts, then it'll alert me. So that way I know I've plugged in a battery that's not fully charged. You don't want to fly with a battery that's not fully charged. And then I've also got the low voltage alert set as well when I get down to the bottom. This airplane has such good low speed performance, and you don't need a lot of throttle to fly it around, that it's very easy to be flying around for 10, 20 minutes. And then before you know it, it just shuts off because you hit the LVC for the ESC. But if you have a low voltage alert set up in your transmitter, you can have that go off a few minutes before. Every battery is a little bit different. We recommend everything from a 70 milliamp battery up to a 200 milliamp battery, all 1S ultra micro batteries. I have my favorite overall battery installed in here today. This is the 1S 150 milliamp 45C battery. We do sell a 25C version of this battery. It's a little less expensive, has a little bit less power, a little bit less flight time. The 200 milliamp battery that we recommend works very well, especially if you're flying outdoors and you have a bit more space, maybe if you're flying in a little bit of wind. I also really like the 70 milliamp battery. It's really lightweight. It's just a couple grams different, but you can feel that extra lightweight when you're flying around, especially in a tighter and a smaller space. But for this relatively large space that we're flying in today, I really like this 1S150. We were flying this earlier. We got a good 20 minutes on one of these batteries, just kind of cruising around. That is really phenomenal flight time, especially for like a $5 battery. You really can't beat that. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and put this thing into the air. We're going to show you guys a little bit of everything. So I'm going to fly it around with the lights on, then we're going to turn the lights off, and then we'll see if I can pull off flying it into another room. So you guys can see it's got plenty of power. You can actually hear with a fully charged battery, you can kind of hang it on the prop. The 45C battery does have a little more power than the 25C battery, so you can get a little bit better performance out of it. But then what's the beauty of this airplane is just being able to fly it nice and slow and smooth. And for those that have flown Vapors in the past, it's maybe hard to tell in the video, but I can tell you as a pilot flying it firsthand, it is so darn smooth. Right now I'm flying with AS3X on. I don't have Safe Select turned on, and it just feels locked in. It's really hard to describe it. I really hope everybody picks one of these up and gets to feel it for themselves. You can see I'm flying it around at about 1/3 power right now, and I've got it a little bit what we call high alpha. So I got the nose up a little bit. This is how you'd want to fly it if you were flying it inside. Now I'm giving it a little bit more power so I can make a tighter turn and make it a little more high alpha. If you're flying inside your house, this is kind of how you're going to fly it. And this is why we wouldn't recommend an inexperienced pilot trying to fly it around in a small space, because flying high alpha like that is a little bit unusual. It takes some getting used to, takes some practice. But once you get comfortable with it, you'd be surprised how tight of a space you can fly this in. See, I'm coming down here nice and low, make some nice tight turns. And so again, guys, this is with Safe Select off. AS3X is on all the time, no matter what. And then I'm going to go ahead and flip on Safe Select. So now I've got Safe Select on, and I'm about at that a little over 1/3 power. And what's nice is, I'm going to show you guys on the camera here, is I can just basically fly it with one hand here. I can make a turn to the right, let go, and it goes right back to level. I can make a turn to the left, all the way to the left, and let go, and it levels right off. Makes it very easy to fly. Again, I wouldn't recommend it as a first airplane, but if you're an inexperienced pilot, you have enough space available to you indoors, Safe Select is a great tool for kind of getting used to flying it inside this indoor environment. Or if you're flying it outdoors, it's also a really great tool to have. Of course, if you ever get into trouble, you can just flip it right back on, and it'll take the airplane right back to level for you. And what's nice is, if you find the right throttle setting, you can fly it around super duper slow, barely moving the stick in Safe Select. It's really hard to describe just how peaceful and enjoyable it is. I know it's a simple flying, but it's a fun way to fly. Absolutely amazing just how locked in it is. So again, I know a lot of guys are probably thinking, I don't know, AS3X and Safe Select, it seems unnecessary in such a simple and slow flying airplane, but it really makes an airplane that was already fun and smooth and enjoyable to fly, and makes it that much better. All right, so I think we've done enough flying in the light here. I think it's time to turn off the lights. So you guys will see that we've got a combination. Oh, the air conditioning kicked on, or the heat kicked on there. Got a little bit of a downdraft. And so I've got the typical navigation lights. We've got red on the left. We've got green on the right. You'll also notice that there's a front and a back LED. Right now, those are yellow. Those are actually programmable. You as the pilot, using a combination of the channel 6, you can assign that to a switch or a button, and then you move the elevator and rudder stick or aileron stick. certain directions, and you can change the color of those LEDs. Not while you're flying. You have to do that while you're on the ground, but you can change those to any combination of colors. You can change them to blue, to red, to green, to purple, to yellow like I've got now, to white. You can have the front and back different colors. And the reason that's nice is because then if you have 3 or 4 of these in the air in a night environment, you guys can all have your own color combination. That way you can kind of tell the airplanes apart. Kind of a nice touch. Yeah, there's some air over there, which again, it's really nice having AS3X because it smooths things out. You'll also notice that there is the LED that's on the control unit, kind of lighting up the bottom of the wing there as well. So that kind of works out nice. Let's bring it in a little bit lower, a little bit more high alpha, a little bit closer to the camera here. Hopefully you guys can see that real good. Yeah, look at that. Such a neat flying experience. Very unique in the RC industry to have a slow flyer like this, that it's just a simple 3-channel airplane. It's not fast, of course, but that's the point. You want to fly it slow and low and close, indoors and outdoors. All right, I think we're going to turn the lights back on, and I'm going to show you guys something else. So we'll go ahead and just do some little bit of fun, aggressive flying. So I'm going to do a little bit of a loop here. I'm going to dive first, pull around the loop there. Oh, we got the air draft kind of blowing us out of the way a little bit. You can see that there. But it does have, you know, the control and the power to fly a bit aggressive if you want. You can fly in really tight circles. You can do, one of my favorite things is kind of just like a descending spiral here, kind of like a pseudo spin, so to speak. And you can add the power and you can climb doing that as well. Doesn't really do rolls, doesn't fly inverted. Of course, it's just not that kind of airplane, but you won't get bored with it. Even experienced pilots that have flown for a really long time and are 3D aerobatic pilots, a lot of them have flown these over the years and just enjoyed all the different things that they can do with it that they can't do with a more traditional radio-controlled aircraft. All right, so let's try something here. I don't know if this is going to work. It's going to be very dependent on my skill level and also just how good the airplane works. But if anything goes wrong, it's more my fault than it is the airplane's. We're going to fly through this little doorway right here. And now we're in a hallway. And we were talking about this earlier. It's probably not likely you can turn in this hallway, but you can. Look at that, guys. Again, the heat is on right now. So there's that vent right there, and I'm getting blown around by it a bit. And now we're going to go down the hall a little bit further. We're going to go into another room here. A little bit tighter space. Maybe a little bit more representative of a lot of people's living room. I'm going to try and keep it in this half before the partition so you can kind of see. So again, if you're an experienced pilot, you can fly this in a pretty small space. If you're a lower time pilot, you're going to want as much space as possible. Again, go outside, get used to it outside first, or go indoors in a basketball gym or something along those lines. If you have enough space, a large great room, living room, especially if you have a high ceiling, it's nice. You can do nice figure eights. And I'm flying it with Safe Select off. I'm going to go ahead and turn Safe Select on now. And you guys can see, I can still turn pretty darn tight. Look at that. That's with Safe Select on, and I got the stick kind of buried in the corner. Look at that. And when I let go, it goes right back to level. So awesome. They did a really great job of giving you just enough control so you can fly tight without mixing up Safe Select and having the thing end up on its back. Really cool. A lot of fun. I wonder if we could go to the other room at the other end of the hall. Let's see. I'm going to try it. The nice thing is I've been flying for about 8 minutes now. Woo! Looked down at my timer and kind of lost sight of the airplane. And I still have plenty of power. You guys can see I can kind of do the high alpha flying through the doorway here, down the hall into the next room. Whoop! Clip the door frame there a little bit. And look at that. Very cool. Some guys might recognize this room from our product launch video. There's actually a takeoff and a landing in there on the little air hockey table here. It is so incredible to be able to fly a radio-controlled aircraft indoors like this. About 10 years ago, this was very, very popular. It's kind of fallen out of popularity lately, and part of it is because there haven't been a lot of really capable models, and this is one of the few that can do this very, very well and practically for a lot of people. A simple, easy to fly airplane. It just offers a flying experience that you can't get with anything else. See if we could bring it down into, yeah, nice tight circuit down low. One of the things you'll notice if you fly indoors a lot is if you do really tight maneuvers like this, you kind of fly through your own wake. It gets a little turbulent. But again, with having this stiffer airframe and AS3X in this particular model, it handles so much better than the Vapors of the past. Pretty cool. All right. Let's see if I can land it on the air hockey table. Oh, very luckily I had that there to help stop me. But there you guys have it. The E-flite UMX Night Vapor. Updated, it's upgraded, it's got more features than it had before. Of course, we've got AS3X, we have option to use Safe Select. We have the programmable lighting at the front and the rear. That's a really nice touch. And we also, again, we have telemetry, which is a really simple but very nice addition to the airplane. Flies great, looks great, more durable than it was before. We've got this nice metal landing gear that is easy to replace and remove if you need to. Yeah, just a great flying airplane, a ton of fun, available at an incredible price. The Bind and Fly Basic version is only $99.99. It does require a transmitter, battery, and charger, but a lot of guys already have a compatible transmitter. You just need a 1S 70 milliamp to 200 milliamp battery and a very simple 1S charger, and you'll be in the air. You don't have to do any assembly. It comes out of the box fully assembled. You really can't beat that. Just a lot of fun, something that everybody should own. Thank you.